All right, everybody out there. This is Josh and Jenny.
And this is our first real episode.
Yep, we are the Rambling Cinephiles, and we are going to talk about Molly's Game today. So basically, Jenny and I, we have a sort of New Year's resolution. We are going to see every theatrically wide-released film in 2018. And the first film that we saw was Molly's Game tonight. And a few days ago, we actually recorded a run through of all of the trailers that are coming out for movies that are coming out in January. So you can go back and watch that and catch up. But today we're just gonna talk about Molly's Game.
And also, you should be warned. This is not going to be a spoiler-free podcast. We're going to talk about anything and everything that happens. So if you care about spoilers, don't listen to this.
we encourage you to go see Molly's Game first before you actually listen to us.
And then listen to us.
Why did we start this project, Jenny?
We're cool.
We are very cool. And we have no lives.
That's very true.
Yeah.
We also we're poor. We're financially able to do this because we have Movie Pass. They don't sponsor us, but I wish they did.
Movie Pass. Listen to us. Give us a call.
But yeah, there's absolutely no way we could afford to do this if we did not have Movie Pass.
Okay, so today we're talking about Molly's Game, which we just saw, and this is the first time Jenny and I have ever talked about it. We didn't talk about it at all on the way home just for this podcast.
Which was very difficult, because usually we talk about it like the minute we walk out the door, and we had to find other things to talk about.
It was very difficult. Our whole relationship is basically based on movies. So.
Yeah, if movies didn't exist, we'd be divorced.
Jesus. Okay, let's actually talk about the movie. Okay, so Molly's Game, who directed it?
I don't know who did. Aaron Sorkin direct it? I know he wrote it. I don't know if he directed it or not.
I think he did direct it.
I don't know.
Aaron Sorkin, same guy as The West Wing, as the Social Network, a bunch of cool stuff. A really good writer, someone that I really enjoy watching, and it also stars Jessica Chastain and Idris Elba and Michael Cera and her dad. Is that Kevin Costner?
Yeah,
that
was Kevin. I was sitting there trying to place him. That's Kevin. I feel bad that I didn't realize who Kevin Costner was. So basically, the plot of Molly's Game. Jessica Chastain plays this woman named Molly Bloom, who was a competitive skier. She almost made it to the Olympics until she wiped out in a freak accident and ruined her chances. And she moved to LA and basically gets a job with this like shitty LA guy who happens to be running an underground casino.
Yeah,
and
he's some kind of housing investor or something like that.
Yeah.
He's a real dick.
Yeah, he's very much a dick. She shouldn't have put up with that. And then she starts running, kind of like managing the casino for him, and she manages it better than him, which isn't surprising because he doesn't even know what a spreadsheet is. How do you get rich if you don't know what a spreadsheet is? And also, like, you can't run Excel because, okay, that was 12 years. That was 12 years before when the movie took place. So it was in the 2000s. It had to have been.
Yeah, it must have been in like the mid 2000s.
Yeah.
So there's no way that man did not know how to make a spreadsheet in Excel.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But stuff happens. She loses that game, and she moves to New York and starts a new game and gets beat up by the mob.
Oh wait. Let's back up to the LA game. So there's basically this whole movie is told through Molly, through her book. I think she's talking to us through the medium of her book, and her book actually exists inside of the movie as well.
Well, there's two timelines. There's the timeline where we're catching up to what's happening now, where she's telling her story through the book. We're kind of Idris Elba, who is playing her lawyer, is the one reading the book. So it's kind of like he's reading the story and we're
along for the ride.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, at the LA game, she sort of gets roped into managing this high stakes poker game. And every night these rich dudes, famous actors, athletes, you know, the elites of Los Angeles come to this one poker game and start playing for keeps. Originally, it was douchebag guy's game, but she stole it and she was raking in the dough with the help of Michael Cera. Michael Cera, I'm not 100% sure he was playing himself. He was playing a famous actor who they only address as Mr. X.
Oh, yeah, I don't think Michael Cera was supposed to be playing himself at all.
I mean, but we don't know.
I mean, we don't know,
Yeah.
but I don't think that he was. If Jesse Eisenberg had been famous 12 years ago, I would have thought it was pretty funny casting if he was supposed to be playing Jesse Eisenberg. But I also don't think Jesse Eisenberg is like a card shark who cheats people out of their money because he like fosters cats. I'm pretty sure that's not his personality.
Well, there was another movie where Michael Cera played himself, right? It's that apocalypse movie with all of those comedians.
Was he in that?
Yeah. He was in it, and he was the insane motherfucker who was constantly like fucking and coking his way into hell.
Yeah, he probably was playing himself.
So he was playing himself in that movie. He was very similar in this movie.
But I don't think that he was like, I don't think that was an accurate representation of Michael Cera. I think it was probably just supposed to be, wouldn't it be funny if Michael Cera was coked up all the time?
It was very funny. God, what is the name of that? Oh, I'm gonna have to look that up. Hold on. All right, Jenny, tell them more about Molly's Game.
Okay. Okay. So she steals the game. Okay. Well, she doesn't actually steal the game. The guy fires her. And she's like, "Screw you! I run a better game than you. I'll just move it and take all the players with me." And so that's what she does. And okay, so what she wanted to do originally with her life was she wanted to do the Olympics and then she wanted to become a lawyer. So being on the up and up legally is very, very important to her. And she finds out that Michael Cera's character has been kind of, I don't, what do you call it? The thing where basic like betting against himself, kind of. Like,
yeah. What he was basically doing was he was finding targets for him to not cheat at poker, but create opportunities for him to cheat for the person he was staking out to cheat at the poker game.
Yeah, like he would get people into debt with him, and then he would say, "Okay, I'll forgive your debt if you give me like 50% of your winnings at the game." So basically, like, even if he folds, he gets something, and obviously sometimes it might be in his best interest to do that.
It was really fucked up. Like he was taking advantage of Jessica Chastain's Molly. He was taking advantage of Molly heavily because they had started this game together.
And there was also kind of a theme of Michael Cera and douchebag boss very obviously were both into Molly and were pissed off that she was not into them. Her boss kept accusing her of sleeping with the other guys at the game. Michael Cera's character was all like, "Oh, like you'll talk to those other guys, but you won't talk to me because you're not into me or whatever." Which, okay, first of all, Jessica Chastain is so far out of Michael Cera's league. I'm sorry. She's out of most people's league. It's not, you know. And also, I don't know anything about the person that this movie is based on, but I felt like the movie was implying she was a lesbian.
Was it really?
Well, like, okay, because she shows absolutely zero romantic interest in any of the men that we see.
Mm-hmm.
And remember her friend B, who she has this friend in the New York game that we'll get to in a minute, who is a woman, and they're very close and they're friends, and every time we see them talking together, B is sitting on Molly's bed.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Molly's not on the bed with her, like we don't ever see anything like actually happen between the two of them, but I felt like the movie was implying that she was gay.
I mean, maybe, but they talk about boyfriends at some point?
Did they?
Yeah, I remember that word specifically coming up.
Oh yeah, she said she wasn't embarrassed by like old boyfriends or something.
Yeah,
something like that.
Which doesn't negate the theory at all.
Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it's a really good fan theory. I would never have thought of that. So the LA game. So that's the end of the LA game. Michael Cera ends up stealing the game away from
Molly.
Molly Bloom. So she decides that she wants to make her own poker game with her own rules, not answer to any powerful men, right? So she goes to New York, starts it up. That's where what?
Oh, sorry. You can keep going, but I realized we didn't talk about her dad at all.
Yeah, we haven't even discussed her dad yet. Well, I mean, go ahead. Talk about her dad.
Okay. So Molly has a really demanding and terrible father. He's awful. He cheats on their mom. He's a psychologist, but you would think a psychologist would try harder not to fuck up his children. She's one of 3 kids, all of whom are overachievers, and not overachievers, I think, really because they want to, just because their dad was like, I want my kids to be special so I can show people how special my kids are. I'm pretty sure that's what that was. And yeah. And I don't know. I wasn't sure if the movie was trying to like redeem him at all. I get really, really annoyed at the whole like I don't get the whole like my parental love excuses what a shitty parent I've been. You know? Like I've been terrible to you. I've known I've been terrible and I kept doing it, but don't you know how much I love you? And that's anyway, that's getting off topic.
No. That's very much on topic because she just lost her Los Angeles game because of powerful men. And her dad is the ultimate powerful man figure in her life. And at the end of the movie, spoilers, when she's waiting to go to court on these, gambling charges, her dad comes to her in New York. The man who basically broke her back for no reason as a kid, training her for the Olympics. And he comes to New York and he's like, let me explain to you all of your problems.
Yeah.
Let me like this entire movie has been about subverting these powerful male figures in Molly's life, and she sits there and takes all of this quote unquote advice or emotion from her dad, and the movie just is like, yeah, that's fine. That doesn't completely negate everything else that we've seen in the movie. That doesn't completely, I mean, it explains why Molly does what she does in the movies, but it goes against the entire message of 90% of the film.
I don't know that I agree with that. I don't think it's weird that she sits there and takes it. For one thing, because she's okay. Yeah, she has a very volatile relationship with her dad. Sorry about all the noise. There's a dog. She has a very volatile relationship with her dad, but she's been conditioned to seek her dad's approval, probably more so than most people do. And I mean, most people seek their parents' approval. I mean, that's not weird.
Sure.
And I also don't think it's weird that she sat there and listened to him, because, people's relationship with their parents it's complicated.
Sure, it's complicated, but she sat there and let him mansplain all of her problems to her. She knows what her problems are. Give me a break.
I mean, wasn't necessarily wrong. I don't know.
No, he wasn't wrong, but he was the one doing it to her. And
yes.
He's the one who came to New York to explain to her problems. That's the fucked up part, you know, to me anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway.
What were we talking about? New York. The New
York
game.
Yeah, the New York game. Eventually, Molly gets involved with the Russians. Not because of anything she did, but because of other players in her games. They bring in this Russian influence. She gets attacked one day. Gets her money stolen. Gets intimidated. Gets her face beaten in, and eventually the government starts calling to seize her assets, bring her in for questioning, and then arrests her. And you know, all of this is told out of order, somewhat. Like, as Jenny said, there's like a plot A where, you know, we're caught up, and then there's plot B where we're, you know, having a flashback of Molly's life.
Well,
go ahead.
So the plot A ends with the New York game 2 years before plot B with the courtroom and Idris Elba lawyer, and they raid her game because there are mob guys at it, basically.
Yeah.
And she's not physically at the game at the time, so she doesn't get raided, but you know, all of her stuff's gone. And then they arrest her 2 years later, like as part of the mob sweep, basically. Like they're just, I mean, they don't really think she's in the mob. I don't think. I just think that she's a conspirator, or she's.
No, they do.
They did think she was in the mob.
Well, the head prosecutor believes that Molly is involved with the Russians because of all of these conversations that many of the Russians have, saying they need Molly. We need Molly. We need Molly to be there. And it turns out they were talking about the drug Molly, ecstasy.
Yeah.
It was a complete fuck up by the prosecutor. It was awesome.
Which is ridiculous, because it is ridiculous to me that two cops would not know what Molly is, because I am the squarest square in the world. Like, I've never even smoked a cigarette. I know what Molly is. So how do two cops not know what Molly is?
I have no clue. It's just it was ridiculous. I mean, she is involved tangentially with the Russians, because she does handle their money at the poker game that they go to.
Yeah, but that's the extent of it.
Yeah, she does not deserve to be involved in a RICO case with mobsters. And that's eventually what happens. Molly eventually decides to plead guilty instead of working with the prosecution and leaking all of this information out about all of these families and people who weren't involved with the game, their personal information getting out. And she pleads guilty, and the judge finds that there is no real reason that she needs to be incarcerated. So we know that this isn't real life. And she is sentenced to community service and a fine.
Yeah.
And that's the end of the movie, basically. Everyone's kind of happily ever after.
Okay, so she pleads guilty. So there's this running theme in the movie, and it's also in the trailer. If you watch our trailer episode, or if you watch the trailer, that she's very invested in protecting people's stories. And the reason that she wants to do that isn't because it isn't out of loyalty to any one person or to a group of people. It's because she doesn't want to be known as a snitch. She doesn't want to be known as this person who handed over this information. It's not that she doesn't want to hand the information over to the cops, because she doesn't really care about any of the illegal stuff. It's that she knows, because her case has been so heavily publicized, that this stuff will leak to the press. Like, it's just a matter of time. It's going to leak to the press, and there are people who are going to lose their families and lose their jobs, and she doesn't want to be known as the person who did that, because her name is the only thing that she has. Her reputation is all that she has left, and she doesn't want to have the reputation of being that. And so that's why that's important. That's why she decides to plead guilty. She actually has the option of just handing over that information and the government will drop the charges, but she opts not to.
And come out on top. Like,
yeah, they were gonna give her all of her money back with interest. She was set to make like $5 million.
It was crazy. I thought the ending was a little out of place for the rest of the movie. I really enjoyed the first 90% of the film, but the ending, especially with the dad, that whole scene at the ice rink, and the ending where they're all just kind of sitting around the table laughing, and then she's like, well, what am I gonna do now, I guess? And then she quotes Winston Churchill with the failures, and I don't know, I just felt like it was a cop-out. Like, I
didn't think so.
There wasn't, I felt like there was more to tell there, and I'm never gonna be able to see that.
Well, I'm gonna assume that that the judge sentenced her to nothing because that's actually what happened.
Is it based on a true story?
That's what they said. I don't actually...
they said that in the movie, but I didn't...
I
know it's based on a book, right?
Well, yeah, but I don't... Isn't it based on an actual... I guess I don't know.
Yeah.
I assumed that it was based on an actual person and that's just what happened.
It's based on a real life book. I don't know if that book is fiction or not.
But no, I didn't think that the ending was a cop out. I agree that the stuff with her dad was complicated, but I also think that was kind of the point. And I think as much as she rightfully held her dad in a lot of contempt, I think she needed some closure in that relationship. So I think that was probably like personally like good for her. I don't know, and like there's this okay, so the movie opens with Molly at the finals or whatever for the Olympics, where she wipes out, and so it kind of starts with her. She like flips over in the air and lands on her back and is unconscious for a minute. And that's where that scene kind of ends. And then it picks up at the very, very end of the movie. So like she's sitting there at the table thinking to herself, what am I going to do now? I'm a felon. I technically don't have a college degree. I'm $2.2 million in debt to the U.S. government. What am I going to do? And while she's thinking through all that, they're showing us the rest of the scene from the beginning, which is Molly waking up on the snow and getting back up. So I just assumed, like, I felt like that was like the movie telling us, like, yeah, like this is ending in like a really weird place, and like we don't know what's gonna happen with Molly, but she's gonna figure it out.
I mean, she's definitely a survivor. She is persistent, and she's not going to give up, and that's something that I really liked about her character. I kind of wish there was some kind of win for her at the end.
I think the win was not going to jail.
But she never deserved to go to jail in the first place. It was bullshit.
I mean, a lot of people don't deserve to go to jail.
Okay, but that's not very satisfying ending for a film, in my opinion.
I don't know. I didn't mind the ending. It wasn't satisfying, but I didn't mind it. I'm trying to think of some things, some like side things. Oh, okay. So Josh said that he really likes Aaron Sorkin. I have kind of a love-hate relationship with Aaron Sorkin. Like for instance, I really like the first couple of seasons of The West Wing before his writing gets really Sorkin-y. I don't know. It always borders. It's either pretentious like The Social Network, or it's preachy like a lot of The West Wing was. I don't like Aaron Sorkin's a good writer. I don't always enjoy his stuff because it's like I feel like this abstract Aaron Sorkin watermark over it, you know. But this was actually the first movie the first thing that I'd seen from him in a while that I didn't actually feel that way. I'd kind of forgotten that it was an Aaron Sorkin movie until the final credit. I didn't think it was overly Sorkin-y. Did you think it was overly Sorkin-y?
Yes, but I like Aaron Sorkin.
Oh. I guess it was just it was the good parts of his writing, and not the preachy parts.
Okay. So yes, he did direct it. He directed it and he wrote the screenplay for it. So I mean, I personally enjoy all of what I saw of West Wing, and I love The Social Network. I think it's great. I mean, yeah, it's pretentious, but it's a good kind of pretentious. I know that the way that characters talk isn't realistic or anything, but it has a really great flow to it. I can't explain it more than that. It's just it's so satisfying to listen to the characters bounce off of one another in a Sorkin film. It's like nothing you get in any other cinema.
I thought the most Sorkin-y thing was Idris Elba's impassioned plea to the prosecutors about why Molly Bloom should not go to prison and this is stupid. That was the most obviously Sorkin-y thing that I saw. Everything else, I mean, I didn't mind it.
Yeah, that's where he's kind of at his worst when he's trying to
when he's trying to monologue.
Exactly. Sorkin should shut up and stop letting his characters talk to themselves. Let them talk to each other. And I've like Jenny, I found that was the most Sorkin-y part in the worst way. The best way was when Molly and Idris Elba were talking to each other, and
definitely.
It was there were 2 or 3 great scenes in his office where they were allowed to bounce off of each other, and it was magnificent.
They had really good chemistry. Those actors did.
They really did.
What else? Oh, okay. So I don't.
My note here is that Idris Elba is charming as ever.
Well, duh. So this isn't real. I don't really have a point to make here. It's just a question that I had. So, Jessica Chastain is, she has several articles of clothing that we see throughout the film that are a very particular shade of blue. And I was trying to figure out if that was thematically important or if Jessica Chastain just looks good in that shade of blue. Did you notice that?
No, I didn't notice that at all.
You didn't notice that?
I noticed her breasts.
Yeah,
I guess,
well, her boobs looked really good in this movie.
I mean, I don't think they ever look bad.
I know. I don't know. I guess I've never really noticed Jessica Chastain's boobs before, but they were all up in my face in this. But they looked really good. I wish I had Jessica Chastain's boobs.
Nice.
But no, yeah, she her jacket was the same shade of blue. She had a dress that was that color. She had a scarf that was that color. Something else. It was kind of I'm trying to think of what you would call it. But it's this really deep, dark kind of, I don't know, it's blue. It's a blue color. And it keeps popping up. And if it was just one article of clothes, if it was just her jacket, I probably wouldn't think anything about it, but it just kept popping up. I couldn't see any thematic similarities in the scenes where she was wearing it. So I don't know if maybe the costume design department was just this is Jessica Chastain's color, because it was. That color looked really good on her.
I mean, yeah, she looked really nice in this film.
You didn't notice? You didn't notice her outfits, Josh?
Okay, I noticed her breasts.
Her breasts had material over them.
The boobs, Jenny. That's all I saw. I hope I didn't blow out the microphone. Okay, let me take it off to a different topic. Michael Cera's performance in the movie. I found it to be problematic.
Oh, really?
Yes. So in the film, he's supposed to be this asshole at the end. He's just stolen Jessica Chastain's entire work over this years, I assume. And he started this game in Los Angeles with her, and she and he takes advantage of her because he feels like she's not paying enough attention to him. Holy fuck, what an asshole, right? And Michael Cera, instead of playing the, conniving, pervy dude, he just acts like himself again.
I think that was kind of the point, though, because I think we were seeing all of this. It's okay. It's just like how she didn't realize that the Russian mob was involved in her game. Now, we knew that, like, in hindsight, but we don't actually see it in her timeline because since we're seeing it through her book, we're seeing what she saw. And I think that the reason that Michael Cera's performance wasn't like overly douchey or like obviously conniving was because he didn't seem obviously conniving to her.
Right, but he didn't seem like anything other than Michael Cera. And it's hard to take him seriously because every other role Michael Cera has ever played has been comedic. So I needed something new from him in this film, and he didn't offer it.
Well, I also think maybe that was kind of the point. Like, maybe they wanted to cast an actor that was kind of disarming like that you don't really... Like, Michael Cera has always either played, like, a really comedic character or at his most serious, I guess, like a kind of, like, aw shucks,
okay.
sort of guy. And so that's what we were expecting from him.
Okay, but there's this one scene where Molly is on her way to a game that she's never going to get to because Michael Cera and her had just broken up, or whatever you want to say. They had ended all ties to each other in the previous game, and she's driving there, and she gets a call from him saying how she doesn't matter. He doesn't need her. She sucks. He has all the leverage, and he laughs at her. And I am supposed to feel like Jessica, like Molly is powerless in that scenario. But all I can think of is, why is she letting Michael Cera talk to her like that? Well, she is so powerful, and she has all of the leverage in this relationship anyway. What Michael Cera, I can't take him seriously as an antagonist.
He wasn't an antagonist. He was. It wasn't that Michael Cera was an antagonist. He's a rich, privileged douchebag, who, basically threw a fit, because for once, Molly didn't do what he wanted. He was already mad that she wouldn't have sex with him. And he uses his power to destroy her game. And she doesn't have any leverage. Like, I mean, yes, it's her game, but the whole reason that people were coming to her game was because he was there. But she had no leverage in this scenario.
She did have leverage. She obviously had her own leverage because she goes to New York with nothing and creates a new game out of nothing. She had all the power there, and Michael Cera was the one riding her coattails. I don't understand how Molly in that scenario, who had been running that game for years, I believe, couldn't see that either.
I disagree. She did not have the leverage there. It might have started out as her game that she took from douchebag boss guy, but Michael Cera's character was the reason that people kept coming to her game. And she didn't have nothing when she said that she had like $200,000 saved. She didn't have nothing when she went to New York.
I mean, but that's basically nothing.
I mean,
in the scope of the money in the movie.
I mean, true, yeah, but I mean, it's not like she went there with like $5 in her pocket.
I just mean, like, all of her motivation in the second half of the movie, or not the second half, but the part where she goes to New York, is based on that one laugh from Michael Cera on the phone. She talks about it. She says it verbatim, that she wants to never hear that kind of laugh again. That laugh that makes her feel like she is powerless. And I listened to Michael Cera make that laugh, and I feel like I should be laughing.
Well, yeah, that's the point. Like, Michael Cera's character is not a guy that you would ever take seriously or think is powerful if he wasn't rich and famous. It's not, the laugh isn't supposed to make you feel intimidated or that that he is like, I don't know, like personally, like characteristically powerful. It's that she's getting laughed at by this guy who without his money, without his fame would be small, would be nothing.
I agree. Yeah. But why? I just mean, okay, my entire point in bringing this up is that I feel like it distracted more in the movie than it gave. And Jenny obviously feels like Michael Cera's entire role in there is intentional.
Yeah. I definitely think it adds to it that his character was so, I don't know, average, because that's, I don't know, that's more often that's what those kind of guys are like. Okay. You know, I didn't really, I don't know, I'm kind of glad that he wasn't like an obviously mustache twirling. Like they could have easily cast a more chiseled actor who was, I don't know, more obviously conniving, but I think that they did that purposefully to make the loss of the game sting a little bit more.
Okay. Well, I mean, your opinion is trash, so
right, yeah.
So let's just move on, since you're just making a fool out of yourself right now. I think, right?
Our viewers know the truth. Our listeners know the truth. I'm smart, you guys.
Well, they are already integrated into the Antifa super soldier movement. So, do you want to talk about this Harlan? That whole tragic scenario?
Oh, yeah, you can.
Okay, so there's this. I thought it was really great. The character profiles during the poker games were some of the best parts of the film, where they would examine these characters like Bad Brad or Harlan or that guy who starts out every sentence with a detective novel title. They're all really good, but Harlan's story is very tragic, and I thought it was very well executed, seeing this guy who was basically, who had everything in his life going for him, and then his gambling sucks it all away. Mm-hmm. I thought that was horrible and very well done.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't really have anything else to add to it.
Oh, well, fine. Here, take this.
Okay.
One of my notes is just Michael Cera versus feminism.
My God. So this doesn't have anything to do with the movie itself, but it is a Thursday night. Okay, it's a Thursday night. The movie started at 7:10. We got to the theater at about 10 till 7 to buy tickets, and there was this huge line. And Insidious: The Last Key also opened up at our theater tonight. And that's probably going to be our next episode. Everyone was there to see Insidious. There were probably 5 people in the theater with us, right? Watching Molly's Game. Yeah. Obviously, I haven't seen Insidious: The Last Key yet, but based on the trailer and based on the Rotten Tomatoes score, which is not good, I personally feel like Molly's Game deserved a bigger audience.
Absolutely. I am not looking forward to seeing Insidious except to tear it apart. So,
I mean, I'm looking forward to it because I think it's going to be the kind of like bad thing that's fun to watch.
No, it's not going to be fun to watch bad. It's just going to be terrible, and we're going to waste an hour and a half of our lives.
It's going to be fun for me. It's going to be fun for me to watch.
I don't have a whole lot except hey, PSA, this is the United States, and we have a Second Amendment. Maybe if you have, $2 million floating, you should have a gun. Molly?
I mean, yeah, maybe, possibly, but I think it's kind of in keeping with her character that she didn't have one. Speaking of guns, and I guess they do, address this, but, when the FBI... Okay, So in the beginning of the movie, the FBI comes to arrest her in her apartment. And they call her on the phone saying like, "Hey, this is the FBI. Open the door. We're gonna break the door, or we're gonna break the door down." And she goes to open the door. I personally would have assumed that this was a murderer who was coming to my house to kill me. Like, there's no fucking way. And I would have been like, "Fuck you. I'm not opening that door," because I wouldn't have thought it was the FBI. I would have gotten shot. But also, what do you need guns for? For what do you think she's gonna kill you?
I mean, Jenny, this is the United States, and cops carry guns and cops kill people for no reason.
I mean, yeah, that's true. They do.
I don't have anything else.
I don't have anything else either.
So what would you give Molly's Game out of 5 stars?
Good.
Good.
I give it good. I thought it was good. I liked it. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, I thought it was really good as well, Jenny. I'm like, so on my Letterboxd, which is where I keep all of my ratings, I'm probably gonna give this a 4.5 out of 5. I really, really enjoyed it with few exceptions.
Josh uses star ratings, and my rating my rating categories are great, good, okay, and no. This was good.
That's fair. Again, I'm not going to critique your rating system as long as you don't critique mine.
So Josh gives it a 4.5 and I give it a good.
Okay, so I guess this is the end. So I want to thank you all for listening to us ramble on about this. If you want to hear more of our ramblings, and you enjoy listening to, oh my god, like 45 minutes uncut rambles about Molly's Game or any other movie, subscribe to us, follow us on the Twitters, SoundCloud, iTunes will soon be up. Give us a like, comment, tell us what you thought about the movie. Are we wrong? Do we have wrong opinions? Such a sinful thing on the internet.
Yes, we do have wrong opinions.
Tell your friends, tell them about us, and we'll keep doing this no matter what happens. So
yeah,
we love movies, and we're gonna keep talking about them. Give us an outro, Jenny.
Okay, everybody, we will see you back with the next episode, which again is probably going to be Insidious. And bye,
folks. P.S. The movie that I was referencing earlier, where Michael Cera is a crazy person, is called This Is the End, and it's really, really good. You should all check it out. Criminally underrated, hilarious. Bye.